All right. Welcome to the meeting, everybody. I'm going to keep everybody on mute. We have a little bit of a bigger crowd today for Thursday, and I want to make sure that I cover everything properly. And in order to do that, I just keep everybody on mute, and then I utilize the chat service so that if you have questions as I'm talking, or if you have questions that you'd like to ask right away, then you can chat them in the chat window. And what I'm going to also do is share my screen momentarily. Let me get my bid site loaded first. And perfect. Okay. Now I will share my screen. Let's see, share. All right, I will do that. I will organize my window a little bit here, put the chat front and center so we can see that. And I'm also recording today's session, so you'll get a copy of that after the meeting. So, without further ado, let's get started. We are talking today about the event stream service. This is the live streaming video and the live auction, live paddle raise feature within ClickBid. In addition, I also like to bring up and talk a little bit about how chat works so that we can, get the full interactive picture of how people can watch, comment, and participate in a virtual event. And I, excuse me, I'm recovering from I'm recovering from COVID. I had that last week, but then this week I've gotten hit with seasonal stuff. So it's been kind of a fun journey the last 2 weeks. But anyway, the virtual event really has just grown from, what we've always had, which is an online auction since 2002. So we've really always done virtual events with ClickBid, but, now we're kind of adding new features like live streaming video and being able to do an actual live auction. I make that distinction because as we continue to add features, when we get back to in-person events, they're more of a hybrid features where in a live auction, you may have, let's say, somebody said this analogy, and I thought it was really good, is like an SNL, Saturday Night Live style, where you have a studio audience of people that are in attendance, but a large percentage of the people that are participating in your event are from home. So you have a combination of both. You have people in person, you have people at home, and we want to give them the same experience. And so letting people bid in the live auction, letting people give in the paddle raise when they're not in person is a key feature that we wanted to make sure was available. So let's dive in. I'm looking right here at my demo account, and I have Event Stream already activated. So when it's activated, I have a new page under Event Central called Live Broadcast. Live Broadcast is how I set up and organize my live video streaming, which is where we're going to start today. And in the Live Broadcast page, you have 3 sections. You have the privacy settings, the weekly office hours, and the method on which you will choose to stream your content. And so first, with the video privacy, you can change the way people see your video. If you want it to be public, that means anybody who logs into your bid site and anybody you share the public broadcast link to can watch the program. It doesn't matter if they're logged into bid or not, if they get the public link. And I say public viewing link, it's right here down in this section, and I'll cover that in a moment. But it's public, meaning there's no restriction. You can also filter the ability to watch this program on bidders, and you can filter on tables. We created these 2 features originally so that you could do testing. So let's say you opened your auction on Monday, today's Thursday, and your event is Saturday. If you wanted to do a dry run or a test or a tech rehearsal, how do you do that on a Thursday? Because you have people bidding in the site. You don't want them to see all your mistakes or any of the video before they're supposed to. Filter on bidders and then put bidder numbers separated by a comma. Those are the only people that will be able to watch the broadcast at this time. So if 200 people are logged in to bid in your site, only these 5 people will be able to see and participate in any of the live features. If you want to do like a screening party where people from who pay a little extra for a VIP reception or a VIP meet and greet with you know, somebody from the board or a celebrity or anything, if they want to hear a performance from a musician, you can filter on tables. And the nice thing about that is anybody who has this table assignment or VIP or any table you want, you know, 12, for instance, any table you put in here, if those people are at that table, they'll be able to see the broadcast. So this is a great way to do like a VIP reception at the beginning of the event from 5 to 6 and then go public at 6. And so, you know, there's a couple of options with the privacy settings. And then down here, the question that we ask, how do you plan to send video to your event stream channel? We ask that question specifically because we want the users of our software to know that this is a channel, just like CNN is a channel or ESPN is a channel or HBO is a channel. Whatever you choose to put on it is up to you, and that channel is available to anybody who wants to watch it. So it's really a view only. So whenever you're broadcasting to your event stream channel, you're broadcasting, you know, a video, photos, music, live performances via Zoom. You're bringing a Zoom call in and that kind of stuff. That is what your channel is for. Now, the reason we give you 4 options is because we kind of broke down the way you can send video into 4 different groups. You can use a web browser, which if I open that up, oh, it says 1 second. It looks like somebody is in the waiting room. That's funny because it didn't. Oh, there she is. It never warned me. I'm sorry. Yes, thank you for sending that in the chat. So we have one more person. I'll just, again, keep everybody on mute, and then we'll just keep cruising. The live broadcaster in Chrome or Firefox or Safari is the easiest way to broadcast to your channel. So if I were to just hit start, and I'm showing color bars because I'm already using my web camera for our Zoom call today. And so I have a couple of different options with this computer, so I'm just using color bars, but this will actually activate your web camera. And if you press start, you'll start broadcasting right away to your channel. And so what this is really good for is kind of a, you know, let's broadcast Matt as the foundation director talking to everybody who's joining in on Monday for the launch of our auction. Hi, everybody. This is Matt from ClickBid. I'm excited to tell everybody about the event we have planned from today through the end of the week into Saturday when we have our big gala experience. You know, be sure to bid on these silent auction items. We're going to be adding a few more every day. It's really exciting. We'll be sending you some emails. Please be sure to share this website to any of your friends on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or whatever you use for social media. We are just excited to get the word out virtually this year, and we are excited to be a part of your you know, fundraising and giving this week. And so this is kind of a live impromptu, but it's a really cool way to get people to your bid site on a day that's not your event day. So on a kickoff party or a kickoff meeting. And we put it here because it's just so easy to use. Of course, I didn't close the window. Let me close it. You just go to your web browser tab, press Open Broadcaster, and start, and you're automatically broadcasting. So I'll just go ahead and do it. And it says stop. So once it starts broadcasting, now I'm going to change this to public so people can see it. And then I'm going to go to mbdemo.cbo.io. And that is my public site, kind of my goofy little landing page for my demo accounts. So notice here I have my broadcast on my landing page. Now, because it's public, I can let people watch the broadcast from the landing page. And that actually can be really helpful if you're really trying to get as many people to watch it as possible. You're not as concerned about limiting the number of people, or I'm sorry, limiting the people who can watch it by whether or not they're a bidder. If your primary objective is to run your silent auction, do your paddle raise, then you probably don't want to broadcast it on your landing page. Because as you notice, I don't have to log in to watch the program right now. I put my broadcast right here. It would almost be like the same as if I broadcast my program on Facebook or YouTube. Then there's no real buy-in for people to watch it, which is okay because we work with some charities that are just, we want exposure. We want, hundreds of people to watch it. But in some organizations, they're like, no, this is a more private screening and we really want people who are participating to watch the program. It's an incentive. And so if that were the case, then this would not be visible and I would have to log in as a bidder. Let me go ahead, move my participants out of the way here. So I'd log in as a bidder. And then once I'm broadcasting, it automatically pops up. So it's Monday, I'm bidding, playing around, looking, oh, hey, cool. That's right. Matt was going to get on and start talking about ClickBid or about the foundation and what we're doing. So he does that. He talks for a minute and then he says, all right, folks, thank you so much. I hope you have a great week. We're going to send you some emails. Have a great week and we'll talk to you soon. And then me, who's doing the recording or the broadcasting, I just press stop and then it stops it. And you'll notice as every bidder who's watching it, this, after a few seconds, we check, we run a check every few seconds, it'll go away. So it was just a quick introduction in a broadcast. So that's the web browser. OBS is probably the most popular method of broadcasting. And what this tab is this is a customized version of OBS. Now, if you've ever heard of that software, it's a publicly available, free, we call it open source because anybody who's a developer on the internet can add and contribute to the development of this product. And it's free for anybody to download. It's very, very popular with people who do YouTube vlogging or video gaming or, hobbyists who do broadcasting, that kind of stuff. It's very popular. Now, the company that we partner with to provide real-time video streaming, they're called Millicast, and they created their own version of OBS software. So they took the publicly available one and they tweaked it and made their own version that kind of sits alongside. And we put a link where you can download that version, Macintosh or Windows. So we just try to keep it really simple. I go through that whole explanation not to confuse, but to just try to do a little bit of education. If none of it is required, all you would need to do is just download the Windows version or download the Macintosh version. Again, sorry for the coughing. I don't mean to cough in your ears. So once you've downloaded it, I'm going to go ahead and type in OBS. I've downloaded it and installed it. You would pop that open, and here I was doing a demo today. I have OBS, and I've created some scenes. I've created some sources. And I want to broadcast this to everybody in my account. So just like I hit that start, or I think it was start in that browser, I want to be able to press start here, and I want to be able to send this video to everybody in my account. But in this case, because I'm downloading software, I need to connect that software to my personal account. It's like putting a letter in the mail. You have to put an address on it, or else it can't go anywhere. So you would just press the settings button and then go to the pop-up box that appears. There's another menu. I'm going to press stream, and the people over at Millicast made it very, very easy. All they want are two pieces of information, a stream name and a publishing token. That's kind of like the address that we're looking for. And if I go back to my ClickBid account in Chrome, we give you that information right here. So stream name, publishing token. I'm going to copy the stream name, and I'm going to go back to OBS, and I'm going to paste it. I'm going to go back to ClickBid. I'm going to copy the publishing token, and then I'm going to go back to OBS, and I'm going to paste it in. And then I'm going to press the Output tab, and I'm going to look at this video bitrate. Now, when you're broadcasting, the idea is to broadcast as as good of a quality as you can so that anybody who grabs onto it can get the best feed possible. If anybody's ever watched a Netflix movie or an Amazon Prime movie or YouTube, there's different kinds of quality based on how fast your internet connection is. Sometimes it looks real boxy, kind of blotchy, and then other times it's razor sharp and it's hard to believe how clear it is. And that's because you're downloading at different rates based on how fast your internet is. But the goal is to make sure that there's enough quality to begin with that you can watch it. And the reason I say that is because some of our charities are doing house parties as we start to slowly lift restrictions. And so if 20 or 10 or 15 people go to somebody's house, or a family wants to watch this on their LED TV, they can cast it with their smartphone or with their laptop. They can put it on a big screen TV and they can take advantage of high quality video. So the question, of course, for us when we want to broadcast this is how big can we go? And it really just depends on what your internet connection can handle for the person who's actually broadcasting. I'm the starting point. I'm sending my video out to the web so that people can watch it. So I need to know how fast my internet connection is here at home. And so I would open up a new tab, and then I would just do a keyword search for the word speed test. Chrome has a built-in speed test tool, and it's right here. I'm just going to press run speed test, and it's going to do a download, which is always going to be faster than your upload. Now, what we need to know about is what is our upload, because I'm actually sending data from my house to the internet. So that's up. I'm sending it up to the internet. So that's what matters. So right now I have 9,000 kilobytes or 9 megabytes of speed. So I definitely don't, you would say, okay, cool. I'll go to OBS and I'll just type in, kilobytes and do a little math here. 1,000 kilobytes is a megabyte. So I'll just do 9,500 kilobytes. The problem with that is that's going to use every bit of upload speed that I have, and that's not good, because if anything happens and the internet gets a little bit slower for a minute, you're going to run into trouble. I usually just cut it in half. So you could do 4,000 kilobytes per second. Anything above, if you have to go above 7,000 or 8,000 kilobytes, you're not going to get a good return. So you're diminishing returns. Anything above 5,000 even starts to lose its value. Anything between 2,000 and 5,000 is kind of your sweet spot. 2,000 would be the lowest you'd want to go, and maybe 5,000 is a good top end. And as long as your internet connection can handle it, then you're good. So I'm going to do 4,000 kilobytes per second. If somebody says they have like a fiber connection, for instance, that's going to be more than enough. I'm at home with, quarantine, but so my consumer internet is a little bit slower than what I have at my office. So I'll just put 4,000. And again, I'm going into a lot of detail, and I hope I'm not, geeking out too much. But I'll go right back over it from a overview or a summary standpoint. And then I'm just going to press OK and start streaming. Whoops. So I must have, I had a problem connecting to my room. So let me go back. I must have, let me put my stream key back in there. We don't want that. So this is my stream name, and this is my publishing token. So I'm going to hit OK or apply. And then see if I get that again. Yeah. So I'm wondering if I'm doing, let me close OBS and start it back over to make sure that sometimes I run into some trouble. I do too much testing and goofing around that I mess up my version of OBS. So I'm going to go back to settings, go to output. Yeah, that should be good. General, stream, I'm sorry, Millicast. Wonder if, yeah, well, and Nope, something going on with my computer right now, so I apologize. I won't be able to stream that. But normally that would start streaming, and it's never good in a demo when you have a problem like that. So my guess is that because I'm doing Zoom and I've got my, I'm running, OBS and at the same time, I think that's probably what's going on. You can also try, one of the things I recommend when you're running OBS or any broadcasting software is that you do a nice solid reboot of your computer, and you make sure that you're not doing anything else on that computer. And so when you're running OBS, that's it. That's the only thing you're running. And it's not because it takes a lot of processing power or a lot of memory or anything like that. It's just you don't want to accidentally run into a situation like what I'm dealing with right now. I have to reboot my computer, which I don't want to do because it would cancel my Zoom meeting. But I'd reboot my computer and I'd get it up and I'd get it running, and then I wouldn't touch it. So I'd want to make sure that I did that. Now, in ClickBid, the other two options you have are Zoom and Other. Zoom isn't being used as much, and we may actually get rid of this because it's just not as popular as we thought when we first got started. Zoom, the actual Zoom application allows you to broadcast a Zoom meeting. So the meeting, let's say, that we're having right now, I could actually be broadcasting that to my ClickBid channel. And so if I had, let's say, 4 people, 5 people that I wanted to join a Zoom call, and I wanted to broadcast that to anybody who wanted to watch it, I could do it that way. The reason that we don't do that as much, or we don't see people using that as much, is because it's easy enough to use the OBS software to get that real-time, less than 1 second delay for an auctioneer or a host. And then you can also bring a Zoom call into OBS. And I can talk through a little bit of that. But OBS has been a really good, solid, stable platform for us to broadcast. I say that, and then I can't. My room is messed up, so I have to figure out why it's doing that. But it's been a very solid, that's what I use for all of my broadcasting. We're doing 2 broadcasts this weekend, and that's a service we offer for organizations who want us to do the broadcasting. We use our high-speed internet and software and hardware to make all that broadcast for you, so you don't have to. But we recommend using OBS for that instead of Zoom. The Other tab is most commonly used by AV companies who have their own hardware and software solutions. Things like Wirecast, Livestream, Restream. There's a ton of them. Software programs that all they want from us is the publishing path and the stream key. And that's all they want. And then they'll broadcast it to us in addition to broadcasting it to Facebook or Vimeo or YouTube, things like that. There are companies out there, programs that will let you broadcast to one place and then it'll send it out to 5 different places. And that's called multicasting. And so that's where if somebody is doing that and they say, oh, we use a different program, you would just go to the Other tab and you would give them this information right here, and they would put that into their software and do a test to make sure everything's running smooth. And the term that they're going to use, or that you'll hear, is called Rtmp. And this is kind of a more traditional format or protocol that's used to broadcast video on the internet. We use more of a cutting edge, newer version because it's faster, and it allows us to do that important part of live auction. So an auctioneer can say, do I see $1,000? Perfect. Do I see $1,200? Oh, do I see $1,400? That kind of real-time interaction can really only happen when you're using this WebRTC protocol because it's blazing fast. It's like a Zoom call. It's really, really fast. There's very little delay, and the auctioneer keeps up with everybody who's at home interacting. So it runs very, very smoothly. So that is how you would set up you would use one of these options, preferably this OBS option that lets you broadcast to your landing page in real time and your bidding site in real time. So that's that side of the broadcasting. And if you have any questions about that I didn't cover, please drop those in the chat. I'll move on now to the live auction, the live items and the fund a need. And then we'll wrap up. Actually, let me just, I'll briefly mention the chat. Chat is part of our mass messaging service. And when you add mass messaging, you get a chat bidders link down here in the bidders menu. So if I go to chat bidders, I can turn on the bidding chat and it will set up a chat room. Again, we use a third-party service that we've integrated into our platform so it's seamless. And then it creates a chat option for anybody who's bidding. So if I'm bidding at home on my laptop or on my phone, I get a little chat box down here in the bottom left corner that I can activate. And then I can send messages. Notice it sent me a in-app notification. So now I can send messages and people can respond. One of the things that we're really looking forward to adding here in the next week is the ability to include photos. So I can drag and drop a photo on my laptop, or I can add a photo from my gallery on my phone. So if I took a photo from my phone, I could add it and we can put these into the chat, which is really nice because let's say you've got an auctioneer or an MC that's in the middle of their program and it says, okay, folks, it's crazy hat time. Everybody take a picture and post it of your crazy hat. Put it in the chat so we can all see it. And so we can put those in there and then it'll all be part of that chat. So it's very cool. We'll be adding that, shortly. And question, is there a fee to use the chat function? The chat service is part of the mass messaging, so it comes with it. That's an add-on to do mass text messages. In the bidders tab, there's a email bidders, text bidders, and chat bidders. You can send text messages to people, and I could say, welcome to the event. Don't forget to bid often. And then I can put in the bidding URL for that person. So I'm going to compose a customized text with a template here. I can put in their first name and I can put in the bidding site link. And when I send it to everybody in my system, I can choose that filter, all bidders. Boom, I can send this text message to everybody right now and it'll go to them. We have some short codes here that you can use. These are template tags that allow us to replace the bracket F bracket with the first name of the person that it's going to, and then the bracket U bracket is a direct link to their bidding site for each person that it's going to. So that's the mass messaging service. So chat comes with the mass messaging, which is an add-on. It's an annual add-on. So once you've added it, you can use it all year long for any event that you conduct. And like I said, in this, in my bidding site, I can turn it on and I can chat anytime I want. This is also a good way for people to ask questions about closing times. If there's a live auction question that needs to be asked, they can ask it there. And so I usually recommend that you find a volunteer or several volunteers that are basically watching the chat on the entire program that you have going, so they can answer questions. They don't have to be into the admin. I could be answering chat as a bidder. I could say, awesome question. That the answer is, yes, or something, whatever. I can put that in there and then it'll show up. I think I'm having internet challenges today. Awesome. Yeah, so I must be having internet. Part of probably why I can't, someday when I'm off quarantine, I get to go back to my office and do these. I get to go back and do these office hours in my office, which is really something I'm looking forward to. Anyway, so that's the chat bid feature, or chat bidders feature. What I'd like to do is jump over here to items. And so let's set up and auction off a few live items. So I'm going to go to Manage Items under the Items tab, or the Items menu, and I'm going to add a new item, and I'm going to call it signed coffee mug. And I'm going to change the status to active. I'm going to set a closing time of Saturday night, 11:55. Because it's a live auction item, or it's going to be a live auction item, the closing time isn't as important as long as it's in the future. Because a live auction item that's going to be auctioned off by an auctioneer is going to open and close dynamically. The auctioneer is going to say, let's start the bidding, and the auctioneer is going to say, sold. And we don't know exactly when that's going to happen. We kind of have a ballpark idea in our script that it's going to be between 6:40 and 6:50, but we need to control that dynamically. But I want to just set the closing time in the future so that people can preview it, take a look at it, so on. So I'll just set that to 11:55 on Saturday night, and that'll be totally fine. It'll get adjusted on the fly when we actually auction the item. Want to make sure to change the type to live, and then when I have the event stream service, I can then choose allow live bids and set it to yes. That means that I'm going to, at some point during the event, I'm going to turn it on, let people bid on it, and then turn it off when it sells. Lastly, what I want to do is set a starting bid and an increment. This is really important for live items because the auctioneer is going to say, let's start the bidding at, and we want that number to be pre-established. So let's start the bidding at 1,000, the coffee mug. It's a really great coffee mug, so the value is $3,000. And let's not mess around. Let's do $500 increments. Looks like we're only going to get a couple. The math or the formula that I typically use for starting bids and increments is, 40 to 50% of the market value is a starting bid, and then enough bids that if I get anywhere between 10 and 15 bids, I'm at or above the market value. So if I started the bidding at $1,000 and I got 10 bids, what would that look like to get to 3,000? So maybe 250 would be a better increment. But if I got 10 bids on this one, I would have an extra $5,000. So that might be a little ambitious. But either way, you can choose whatever you want. And oftentimes when you're working with an auctioneer, they have their own formula and they'll just tell you exactly what they want. So all you need to know is what the ballpark market value is, and they'll set it from there. So of course, during the live auction, you can change these numbers on the fly, but I always recommend get them close before you start out. So that way, your bid increment isn't $1 or $5. That's obviously not what you want. So again, really quick, I have given it a name, set it to active, put the closing time in the future, changed it to live, allowing live bids, and I set a starting bid and a bidding increment. And it automatically saves as I'm making changes. So when I'm done, let me press the complete and go back. Now I have that item, but it's disappeared into the list. If I want to filter and just look at my live items, I can go over to the type column and type the word live, and it'll show me all of my live items. So you can see here that I have a signed coffee mug, and it's item 105. And again, the starting bid is 100, bidding increment is 500, and the fair market value is 3,000. So it's time to get ready for the live auction. We've gone ahead and prepped everything, and I want to get ready for that live, and it's maybe 6:30 at night. It's about 10 minutes away from when we start running the live auction. So again, imagine that I have one person seated at a computer that has OBS, and they're running the broadcast. So they have the auctioneer running in their OBS program. They have created a few scenes. OBS is a lot like PowerPoint in my mind, because you create slides, or what OBS calls a scene. You create slides and then you put things on those to make an actual slide have video, have pictures, have a web camera or an external camera, so on. In this case, I have my Zoom laptop, which is normally would be a external computer that's running a Zoom meeting, and I'm just piping that into my OBS computer. Or I could have some videos that I've had edited and I want to play them at a certain time, I'm going to move through. This is actually for an event that we're doing on Saturday, and I'll be running that one. But I have, a handful of videos that we'll be playing. And then I have my auctioneer. And this is just a graphic that would actually be a live person speaking. So I have somebody on camera, and they'll be talking and selling the auction. So let's say I'm broadcasting that, and I have a staff member who is just clicking those scenes. Okay, let's go to the next scene. Let's go to the next scene. These are all managed or controlled or dictated by the run of show. So when you create your run of show, you determine, okay, we're going to do a countdown, then we're going to go to a host, then we're going to go to a 5-minute video, then we're going to go to the live auctioneer, and then we're going to play a final video. That might be how you run your show on a Saturday night or a Friday night. And so right now I'm running the live auctioneer. They're talking up the auction. Next to, doesn't have to be next to, but let's, for the sake of this discussion, next to, at the same table, I have to the OBS person that's running the OBS. Then I can have another person running what we call the Butler. And that person has this page loaded up. They would go to Event Central, and then they would launch Butler. And so Butler is what I've always kind of affectionately called the Fisher-Price version of our admin. When we do in-person events and we want volunteers to check people in, check people out, add bids, remove bids, that kind of thing, they use the Butler because, as you can see, it's a much skinnier, lighter version of our admin. You're not bombarded with menu options. In addition to those other elements, we have what's called the event stream. I've created those live items. We're going to do a paddle raise. That's all right here in the event stream. So I just click on Manage Your Event Stream. And again, this is my volunteer or staff member that's sitting next to the person that's broadcasting. They're kind of the mission control person for the live auction. Because again, I said at one point during the event, we're going to have to turn some items on, mark them as sold, turn another item on, mark it as sold, and so on, because the auctioneer is going to kind of work their way through the live auction. We need somebody to do that. A lot of times when you hire an auctioneer, you get a couple of extra, they call them spotters, people who stand around the room raising a paddle to let the auctioneer know that somebody wants to bid in their area. Maybe it's a flashlight, something bright and flashy that the auctioneer can see. So we'll take one of those spotters and we'll put them at a table, and they'll turn these items on and off. So let's say the OBS person seated next to me just went to the auctioneer, and the auctioneer's saying, all right, folks, time to do the live auction. I want everybody to take a look at their phones, and I want them to press the Bid Live button. So that's my cue as the volunteer to set up. Let's go to that signed coffee mug that I created. So I'm going to activate it. Just click on that link. It says Unsold Live Items. I'm going to click on the signed coffee mug. And then the auctioneer is going to say, everybody press that Bid Live button on their phones. You can see it right here. It's either on your laptop or your phone. Oh, I'm going to press Bid Live. And it's going to give me a signed coffee mug, which this picture is not a signed coffee mug, but it's going to say this item is not currently accepting bids. And that's because the auctioneer is hyping the item. Okay, folks, this signed coffee mug was used by Bill Gates on his last day as, CEO of Microsoft. He signed it, and it's now being put up for auction, whatever. And so this is a one of a kind. You're going to be worth $1 million just by owning this thing. So let's start the bidding at a very modest $1,000. The volunteer is listening to all this, and it's their cue to say, oh, we're going to start the bidding at $1,000. So now I've gone ahead and pressed start. Your item is now available for bids. Everybody at home sees a $1,000 bid button. So they go ahead and they press it. Yeah, of course, I'll take a Bill Gates signed coffee mug. So now I'm winning. And you'll notice the next bid is $1,500. Back in the studio, the volunteer sees that a bid came in. The current bid is $1,000. The next bid is $1,500. And sample bidder was the person who made that bid. Now, we're going to move on to the next bid. Let's say, remember when I first started the discussion today that we maybe had a studio audience. Let's say somebody in the studio audience wants to place $1,500 and they put their hand in the air, their paddle in the air, and the auctioneer says, oh, thank you. I see that $1,500. Now it's $2,000. Well, wait a minute, hold on. The volunteer needs to log that bid. It's called a floor bid. It happened on the floor of the event. We need to make sure that it's recorded in real time so that everybody at home can keep bidding. So I'm just going to go ahead and press the floor bid right here. I'm going to press that submit button. I don't know who it was. I just saw that a hand went up and the auctioneer recognized it. I'm going to have to go back later and maybe figure out who it was. But the most important thing is we've logged a $1,500 bid in the system. So you can see here, we created a placeholder and we gave them the bid at $1,500. So the reason we did that is because if I'm at home and I was winning at $1,000, I need to be losing now. And I need to be able to bid another $2,000 to get back in the game. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to bid $2,000. And so again, I bid $2,000. Now, if I'm in the room as the volunteer, that spotter that I told you about, I see that $2,000 come in. I put my hand in the air and the auctioneer sees my hand come up and he says, oh, we've got another bid online, $2,000. All right. Are you still in? And he points at the person that placed the 15. Are you still in at 2,500? Yep, they're in at 2,500. All right, great. That spotter records the $2,500 bid. Because at home, I need to see that I'm losing again. Oh, man, this mug is really popular. I need to bid another $500. So I'll do it. And I bid 500. Now I'm winning. And as the volunteer running this screen, I put my hand in the air and I say, oh, we got a bid. The auctioneer says, hey, we got another bid online, $3,000. Are you in for 3,500? And the person in the room is like, nope, I'm done. I can't do 35. The auctioneer says, okay, going once, going twice, and sold. And that's the spotter's cue. They press sell. And the reason they press sell is so that nobody else can bid on the item. Excuse me, sorry. And the person at home finds out they won. Awesome, I won the item. I'm the winner. And again, what you're not seeing up here, I'll go ahead and jump over here and turn on the live broadcast. Again, because my OBS is acting all funny. At home, what you would be seeing is this pop-up to focus me on the live auction, and I would be watching the live broadcast. So I'd be doing both of these things on my laptop. I'd be watching the auctioneer talk to me, talk to everybody in the room, and then I would be watching this bid button. So the auctioneer says, okay, folks, let's go into the signed guitar. And so I'm going to sell that item. Let's start that bidding at $1,000. This signed guitar is not signed by Bill Gates, but it is signed by, I don't know, Taylor Swift. And so at home, I didn't have to do anything. I'm still watching the program just like I was, and this is all switched. So it went to the signed guitar, and now I can bid $1,000. I'm going to bid $1,000, hit yes, and now boom, this pops in as sample bidder, $1,000. As the volunteer that's running this thing, I put my hand in the air. The auctioneer says, we got our first bid online, $1,000, folks, $1,000. Do I see 1,200? And somebody in the room, bidder 102, puts their paddle in the air, and they bid $1,200. And this time I actually saw the paddle, and I saw it was 102. So instead of just pressing submit, I put in 102, because now I know who it is. This saves me from having to edit it later. And then the person at home says, oh, snap. All right, I'm going to do 1,400. I'm going to bid 1,400. And now that's come in. The volunteer in the back raises their paddle, raises their hand. And the auctioneer says, oh, we got another online bid, $1,400, folks, $1,400. Do I see 1,600? How about you in the room? Matthew, do you want to bid this? Yes, I do. I'm going to bid. And now the bid is 1,600 in the room, folks. Do we see, hey, how about you online? Are you back in at 1,800? The person online is like, I'm done, not going to bid. The auctioneer says, all right, going once, going twice, and sold. I press sell, and now the person that won it is in the room, bidder 102, $1,600, and at home, I get the frowny face, I did not win this item. So the auctioneer says, all right, folks, we've come to that point of the night where we want everybody to participate, everybody to show the organization how much they care, and we want to do our fund a need. Now, the volunteer in the back of the room presses donation items and then presses the appeal item, which is bid to give. Now, how did I set that up? If I go back to items, manage items, and I get rid of my filter here and I change it from live to donation, because this is the donation item, bid to give. The only difference from live is that I chose donation instead of live. Then I chose to set up some denominations. I want to start the donations at 1,000, and I want to move down to 500, then down to 250, then down to 100. And my goal, if I go to my display settings, I want to have, my goal is 40,000, and I've already received $15,000 in people who mailed in, or I've got a match, and I want to log that. And then I don't want to show my goal. I do want to show donor names, and I want to do a thermometer with my blue radio background. And so the reason I set all this up is so that I can actually click on this link, and I can go to a page that shows that I've raised this money, and I'm showing names. Now, this is a dynamic page. You don't need to be logged in to see it. You just have to have this web address. It's custom for every item, and you can get it by going to the projected display settings, appeal display share link. Now, I'm going to I'm going to copy this address, and I'm going to go to OBS, and I'm going to go down here to my appeal item, scene. I'm going to create a brand new scene, and in that scene, I'm going to put what's called a browser element. I'll start over. I'm going to choose plus, and I'm going to add browser. I'm going to hit OK, and then it's going to ask me what my address is, my URL. I'm going to paste that link, and I'm going to do, let's just do, 1920 by 1280. That's the width, and that's the height and width of my broadcast. And I'm going to hit OK. And then it automatically puts in my screen. So I have total raised is 2,500, thanks to our donors and my thermometer. So now when my auctioneer is doing the appeal, I can switch to this screen and broadcast this screen. Folks, we are at $25,000 right now. This is amazing. Thank you so much, everybody, for your donations. And again, I got a little bit ahead of myself. So what I want to do is I want to go back to my volunteer who's seated in the room watching the auctioneer. And the auctioneer says, okay, folks, if you don't have the bid live open, I want you to go ahead and press give live. So I'm just going to close the bid live. See where I replaced bid live with give live. So now we're going to do the appeal. The reason that give live button is there is because the volunteer who's in the room running the controls here went to donation items and activated bid to give. And it's got the increments, it's got the goal, and it has the total listed here. And so now, everybody, I want you to press the Give Live button. So if you don't already see our first bid to give increment, press that Give Live button. Perfect. Okay. We're going to start at $1,000. $1,000 helps us provide food and clothing for 10 people for 2 months. Folks, that is an amazing option or opportunity for us to give to our community. I need 10 people to give $1,000. Are they out there, folks? Who's willing to give $1,000? Let's see those names come in. I press 1,000. I say yes. And then the volunteer sees that $1,000 pop in at the top. We've got our first $1,000 donation. Thank you so much, Sample Bidder, for giving us that money. This is so amazing. Now I want us to move to $500. Maybe $1,000 just wasn't the right amount, and $500 is the right amount. The volunteer then chooses 500. And everybody at home sees 500. All right, I'm going to give 500. and you can see my name pop in. And as you can imagine, we work our way down, and we can go all the way down to 100, and then we can turn the other option on. So let's do that. I can give 100, or I can give any amount that I want. Let's do 50, and I want myself to be anonymous. And so now I see a $50 anonymous donation. One of the questions that you might have thought up while you're looking at this is, well, Matt, this is all well and good because we've got our volunteer running this thing and they can see the names, but the auctioneer is in another room, the auctioneer is in another state. How do they see this information? Well, that's what our confidence display is for. If I'm the volunteer that's running this here in my house and the auctioneer is down the hall or in another state, I can send this display to their phone or their email address just by typing it in. So I can type in a phone number, boom. It sends a link that they click on. That's all they do. They just click on the link. It works on a phone, tablet, laptop, computer, whatever, and it's going to look just like this. And it's going to be display only. So it's going to show we are currently at the $100 mark doing other. And again, if let's say I'm in Colorado as the auctioneer and I'm saying, and I'm talking to my Zoom camera saying, folks, this is an amazing opportunity. Who's going to give us $100 for this? I've got my screen loaded here, folks. As you give, I'm going to see those names and I'm going to call them out. And so somebody pops in, gives $100, and the auctioneer sees $100. Thank you so much. I see that $100. Thank you, sample bidder. You have really set the pace tonight. Thank you so much. Do we see another $100 coming in? And then another one pops in and so on. So this is how an auctioneer or an MC or anybody can stay afloat or stay aware of everything that's happening in the live and in the appeal. This page is dynamic. It doesn't need to be refreshed. If we switch to a live item, then it'll switch this page to the live item, and so on. So I'm going to pause there. I've got a couple questions. So we're going to have some bidders on site and some at home, and that's very common. That's going to be very common, especially later this summer and into the fall, trying to do both, that studio audience kind of thing. Could we use the Butler feature alone, or do we need to use it along with the live stream in OBS? You could. I'm not exactly sure how I would do it without being able to live stream, because you can't set up, well, one, you need the event stream service in order to set up a live item that can be bid on from home. And that's, when I say that, what I mean is, if I go back to my Butler, Event Central, Butler, in order to get this feature, you have to have it added to your account. And the ability to in-home clarity and VIX wine experience, to be able to have people bid on this from home, they need to be able to have that service, and they see the bid live button. And so we're going to have the, VIX wine experience, and then I'm going to be able to turn it on. But without streaming video, there's really nothing that you're doing to communicate with your audience. They really need that. I have blue, I have my color bars here, which normally would be somebody talking to me, an auctioneer, a host. I really, as somebody at home, I need to have that interaction. Otherwise, it's going to be really kind of clunky without it. Now, if it's a fully in-person event, you don't need the event stream service because everybody's there watching the auctioneer on the stage. But if you want people to be able to bid on the live auction from home, you would need to have the event stream service in order for you to incorporate the live video and the bid buttons for the live auction items. What we have seen people do is when there's an auctioneer in the room, even for the events that we did, 2 years ago when COVID wasn't a thing, you would have, a camera, image magnification is what they call it. There's a camera in the back of the room and it's videotaping the auctioneer and putting it on big screen. So you're already hiring an AV company to run the ballroom cameras and screens. They would just send that video out to everybody at home. So they would just, set up a stream and boom, it'll go out to everybody in this service. So you're not adding any real overhead at your venue. You're just adding the service here in ClickBid, and people can watch the actual event. They'll be able to see it from their screens at home. So if they're still not kind of going out into public, or we have some limited gathering still in effect in the fall, then you can still broadcast. And I would say even for a charity that has a very dispersed constituency, this is a great service. It's something I've always wanted for years and years, but we just, COVID really pushed it forward very fast. Because, alumni associations or university groups that have people that are all over the world can now tune in and participate and give donations. And what we've seen over the last year is that it does work really well. It's not, we're always worried with new features is whether or not it's a gimmick and it's not really worth it. We have seen, in fact, today I got a text from an organization that said, we raised more this year than we did last year or the year before through our virtual event. So it's definitely productive and valuable and useful to have that. So, that's kind of a soapbox answer. So I apologize. I don't usually try to do too many soapbox answers, but so one question that came in earlier that I didn't get to was, can you share more about how the live feature functions through OBS? So in OBS, you can create, again, like I said, you can create layers. And so a group that we're working with this weekend, a school, they've created a handful of videos, and I've added them as scenes. So again, think of it like PowerPoint. I've created different slides, and I've added those videos to those slides. And I will be, during the program, I have everything timed out. The organization and I have worked together to put a script. So we're going to show this video, and then when this video is done, we're going to go to a live Zoom broadcast of the school's head of school and the key donor, or not donor, the key board member. And then they're going to talk for 2 minutes about the value of the new building project they're doing, and then we're going to show a video about the building project. When that's done, we're going to go back to the head of school, and then we're going to go to another video, and then we're going to go straight from that video to another video, then back to the host. We're going to go to the appeal. We're going to go back to the host to say goodbye, and then we're going to end on a video and stop the broadcast. So you can add all of these very easily. Just create your scenes based on your timeline that you've created, your run of show, and then add those video elements in your sources. And a source in OBS is anything that could be text, graphics, slideshow, video, a web camera, an audio file. Anything you want can be added as a source. So if I wanted to add a new video 10, for instance, I'm going to add that down here as a scene. I click the plus button. Now I've got a blank slide. There's nothing here. I'm going to click plus, and then I'm going to choose media source, and that is a media. So you can see here I can choose an image, I can choose a browser element, I can choose a color, I can capture a display if I want to show my desktop. I can do a video capture device, which is my web camera or an external camera, and so on. But I'm going to do media source just to keep it easy. And then I'm going to press OK. And then I need to browse and find it. I always recommend that you put it right on your desktop. So I just created a tutorial video today called Live Bidding. This is a video you might send to your guests where it talks about how to do live bidding from your phone. And so I just added that as a video source, and it'll broadcast right out to people as they're watching the broadcast. And so if you wanted to, for instance, if you wanted to show people how we're going to do the live bidding, you could play this video really quick. So the auctioneer could say, folks, we're going to show you a very quick video on how to bid in the live auction. Just go ahead and watch that. And then the volunteer who's running OBS switches to that. When it's done playing, we then go back to the auctioneer who's in this screen, and then they start doing the live auction. So there's a lot of different options there. So that pretty much gets us to the end. We're at 3 o'clock. I wanted to wrap it up. If you guys have any other questions, just go ahead and quickly drop them here in the chat. I can stay on for a few minutes. Otherwise, I'm going to send you this recording, and then you can respond. We can do some chats via email. The other thing I like to offer is if you have questions. I mean, I just dumped a ton on you in this meeting, and I'm assuming that you'll be doing some tech rehearsals or dry runs. If you'd like me to meet with you beforehand, we can talk through it. Or if you have an AV company, I'm happy to talk to them directly. So we can talk about connecting to our event stream service or broadcasts. We can do a test, anything that brings comfort to your upcoming events. We want this to be successful, obviously. So I'm happy to help, with this new kind of exciting but somewhat intimidating technology that we have. So I hope you guys have a good rest of your afternoon. I don't see any more chats coming in, so but yeah, I'll look for those emails if you have any. So thanks a lot, folks. Have a great afternoon.